Good morning, on a bone. Kayla Will is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Rhett Bryant is in studio with us, and the full crew is present and accounted for. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh. I'm Will Bowling.
Little Steely Dan right there.
Yeah.
My old school. That's an old school banger right there.
Yes, it is.
My mama loves Steely Dan.
Good stuff. Some of the, they got to the point where they were so microregiment style with the session players that they had, but they have a fantastic band. The brass, a lot of jazz vibes there, a lot of R&B vibes. Ramon, you go to a Steely Dan concert, there's a lot of brothers and sisters there.
A lot of good times, and I check this out.
There's a lot of brothers and sisters in there because it's like, it's just good.
That's good.
It's good.
I want to go concert going with you, Rat B.
All right.
You get more than the show. You get knowledge. He's like history of rock and roll at UT with Wendell, Professor Wendell.
Professor Wendell.
Oh, my gosh. Was phenomenal, Rat B.
You'd walk in that class and see like 10 football players staring at you.
Everybody.
Yeah.
The way to meet football
That's always
players.
a good class to take.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was. Always a good class, too. Now, he did pass away. Rest in peace to him, Professor Wendell.
Sure.
You know
Sure-
for
you
sure.
sure on
I know
that?
for a
Yeah,
fact.
is this
Okay.
factual?
All
I do
right.
know for a
Let's
fact
just,
on
I
that
just
one.
want to make sure.
Then you made me think of,
Yeah.
what was that song, Mr. Wendell?
Yeah, Mr. Wendell.
Remember
yeah.
I don't remember that one.
I don't know who sung that.
Yeah.
It's
Kayla, if I wasn't so sure, you could have completely came up. Oh, Mr. Wendell. Yeah. Mr. Wendell. Why don't you
She's just
come to
riffing.
your senses?
she's riffing over here. She's riffing.
Mr. Wendell, bring me a drink.
I was just going to
exactly.
say, ask Joe Hunt.
I can't remember who did Mr. Wendell. I'm sure somebody else
It is kind of funky, though.
pop up in
I'll
the
get on
F&M bank chat. But that was 90s stuff.
All right.
So Scout Meeting Wednesday,
Yeah.
Titans and Colts. And this is Will Bowling's favorite highlight because he's mentioned that here. We take you to December the 3rd, 2006. And the thing is, there have been some peaks and valleys with the Titans and the Colts in this. And unfortunately, the Titans have been on the losing end of that in terms of streaks and things. And this one broke another long streak that the Colts had in the prime of Peyton Manning's career. So this was a very cold and blustery day at Nissan Stadium. It was 40 at kickoff. There were 11, 12-mile-an-hour winds, which made it feel like 33 degrees here. And as this thing took exactly 3 hours on the dot, we're getting right towards the 3 o'clock part of the day. And you think about in December, the time has already changed, so it's getting dark. It's pretty dang cold.
Yeah.
All right, it's not, like the game last Christmas Eve where there was a rolling blackout and all that stuff. But it's pretty cold. And at this point in the game, it's knotted at 17 apiece. There are, I think, 11 or 12 seconds left. And the Titans have had a drive that they put together, 9 plays, 33 yards, and the drive had stalled out at this point. So they put the ball in the hands of number 2, Rob Baronis.
The Titans have to make sure that they can tackle the second-year man from Cal. Snap, set, kick on the way. Good! Rob Baronis has just made a 60-yard field goal. I cannot believe it. Oh, my! What do you say? He clubbed it. Handtrick to kick off with 7 seconds remaining. He hits a squibber. It's been picked up by Fletcher. He pitches it back to Harrison. He throws it across the field to Hayden. Time has run out, and the Titans have upset the Colts 20-17. The Colts win streak over the Titans is over.
And it was. The losing streak to the Colts at that point was over. And, the excitement in Mike's voice, kickers were not kicking 60-yard field goals with regularity like they are more nowadays. So, it was a big deal. And, the reason he was talking about they have to make sure that they can tackle, they had a deep man because this guy's trying a 60-yard field goal. Yeah. The Colts are like, I'm going to take this and
Wow.
So, but he put it through the uprights, and the place went bananas. But that was a big one. That was a real big one. So the last game that I have chosen for this lovely segment is an instant classic, as ESPN used to call them. And this is I think it's week 5 or 6. Yeah, it would have been in week 5. Week 5 of last year. Now, you remember, the Titans started 0-2. Then they notched their first win in week this is week 4. Anyway, they were 0-2. They notched their first win of the season the week before. This is a super important game at Lucas Oil Stadium, October the 2nd of 2022. And so, remember, Matt Ryan is the quarterback for the Colts at this point last season. Robert Woods, Bobby Trees, had caught a touchdown to get the Titans on the board 7-0. We flash forward to 3:46 remaining in the first quarter. A 6-play, 75-yard drive took 3:19 off the clock. King Henry.
Tannehill gives it to Henry around right end to the 15, to the 10, to the 5, to the end zone. The King, Derrick Henry, touchdown, Titans!
He had 22 for 114 that day, 5.2 a carry, but it was hard yards. I mean, he earned what he got in this. And so then we flash forward to the let me see, make sure I got this right here. Where the hell is that? I have
laugh.
While Rhett's looking, Derrick Henry right now currently on the active list with 78 rushing touchdowns.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yes, it is.
Just to add to that, because, every time he gets down there, you just bet he can get in.
I
if
mean,
they
more
get him
times
the ball,
than not, it's
right?
the easiest decision to make. You know what I'm saying? Like 5 yards in, yeah, we can make that.
All right, so Matt Ryan had thrown one pick in this game early on. A big man, T.R. Tart, gets his hands on the second one.
Ryan takes the snap. Straight drop under pressure. Ball batted up in the air. It's caught. T.R. Tart on his back. Just intercepted the pass. Wow! Look what I found, Mom! Wow!
I love that.
That's the best.
Wow.
The Mikey Flowers. I love him, man.
Well, it was just, he caught it point blank, man.
Yeah.
And, I remember Tierre telling us, Kayla, in the locker room, he said his teammates said I looked like a turtle on my back.
Yes.
I couldn't get it. Shell down, trying to get back up again.
Which is so
And I
great.
think Coach Vrabel kind of gave him some trouble about it. But you think about, T.R. Tart was a guy, undrafted and had a little peaks and valleys early on. But, he's going to be majorly counted on.
Yeah.
And that was really kind of a big turning point for him. He'd already put work in and had some plays, but, that's a big one there.
It is.
And so we flash forward to the fourth quarter, and it's the Colts' first possession of this quarter, and they're already moving. They've had 5 or 6 plays in this drive. Jonathan Taylor, though, makes a mistake.
Going to give it to Taylor on the left side. He's got the first down as he picked up about a yard. Ball come out. Ball came out. Titan ball! Yes! They ripped it away from Taylor, who had fumble problems while at Wisconsin. At Fulton, came out of the pile with the ball.
By the way, see Christian Fulton's Instagram?
Dude,
that
Red.
dude is rocked up.
I just posted that
He
yesterday.
doesn't look like, I saw your quote tweet of it. I hadn't seen him in a minute.
Yeah.
He didn't look like
Yeah.
the same guy.
Really?
Like he looked raily
Yeah.
and lean and wiry like a lot of good corners.
Yeah.
This guy has been hitting it.
He changed it around right
Take
there.
a look, man.
He's changing it
did.
around.
I don't know what he's added in muscle bulk, but
see.
good Lord.
He's changed it around,
Yes, he
man.
has.
Yeah, he's got some abs. And
So
some
that
muscles.
was a big one there, and that gave the Titans the ball back, and they ended up having to punt. Ryan Stonehouse did. So the second possession for the Colts, and this is just inside, actually just outside the 2-minute warning here in the fourth quarter, and it's why I was so happy when they brought Danico Autry over from the Indianapolis Colts, because he makes a big play on Matt Ryan.
Ryan dropping. Under pressure. Sack! Third time today, Danico Autry.
3.
Wow.
3 against his old team. And then, so they would have to punt. And so now we are 3 plays later into the final drive of this game for the Titans. And it is 3rd and 4 at the Tennessee 47-yard line. Ryan Tannehill dials up the rookie tight end for a big first down.
Tannehill rolls, throws a Cockwell. He's got it. Inbounds at the 46-yard line of the Indianapolis Colts. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a first down for your Tennessee Titans.
And then Ryan Tannehill would ruin any rushing average he might have had with a couple of 3 kneels and
That's right.
victory
There it goes.
formation, the
Victory
best play in the
formation.
playbook, right?
Yep.
Best way to
And the
lose
Titans
yards.
win it 24-17 to even their record at 500 at 2-2, which was crucial after an 0-2 start and a massive win in terms of a division win over their rival, the Colts.
That's huge. Continue the streak, Rhett.
Yeah.
Continue the streak.
And Rhett, when I came in to this market, all the talk was 11 straight losses against the
They
Colts.
never beat Andrew Luck.
Wow.
And it was amazing when they turned that around, when Jacoby Brissett started, and it was Monday Night Football, right?
Yep.
When they won that game, it was almost like a new life was formed. And I know they didn't have Andrew Luck anymore for the most
Right.
part, but it's amazing how they have pretty much dominated him.
They've got the weight
then.
off their shoulders
Yeah.
at that point. But yeah. And I mean, gosh, the last 2 or 3 years, I mean, it's been fun to be a Titans fan against the Colts.
Yeah.
And I'm firmly convinced that is what may drive Jim Irsay to an early grave, because
Oh
he
my
is just
gosh.
obsessed, man. He is obsessed.
Where's the hate? The hate is just because I guess he thought you're used to beating him, and now you can't beat him anymore.
I think
He
that's part of
counted
it.
On the South.
I think that's part of it.
Like his pride is like, this is what we do. Yeah, that's tough right there, Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I get the hate
And I
now.
think he's weirder than a wooden watch anyway. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Don't put that in the pool.
I mean, it's to the point where as long as Jim Irsay is there, I'm not worried about Indy.
I mean, think about this, and this will. I'm not vouching here,
Right,
but I'm just
right.
saying something because you've taught us about vouching for people.
Yeah.
He fired Frank Reich because he couldn't get it done against the Titans, and I think that's a mistake.
Yep.
I think Frank Reich is a good ball coach, and I think you're going to see that with what he does in Carolina with Bryce Young and some weapons that he already had at his disposal. I'm not saying Carolina's going to win the division. I mean, they could go 7-9 and probably win the division.
Right.
I don't think that division is going to be great unless Baker Mayfield has a second coming in Tampa. But I really think you'll see how good Frank Reich is by working for David Tepper now in the Carolina Panthers.
The thing that amazes me, Rhett, is the win streak in Indy more than anything. Winning 4 straight games in Indianapolis was a completely foreign concept for so much of this team's history. And even going back to the season where Indy, without Peyton Manning, earned the number 1 overall pick to pick Andrew Luck, they still beat the Titans at Indy that year.
Yeah, I think that was the game where Curtis Painter was the quarterback.
That's
The
right.
former
Painter.
Purdue Boilermaker.
Yeah.
Can you name the other quarterback that played in place of Peyton Manning that year?
Brissett?
No. Let me think.
No.
Rhett, do you know this one?
I should know it. I'll know it when I hear it.
It was
Dan
no,
Orlovsky.
Dan
I was about to say
Orlovsky.
Dan
Yeah.
Orlovsky.
Really?
Yeah.
I said Brissett. That's way too early.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, that's
He forgives you.
Yeah, he was teammates with Luck though, so that was a win, right? He was
Yeah.
with the Patriots at the time.
There you go.
Orlovsky?
Dan
Yeah.
Orlovsky was not running out of the back of the end zone as a Colt.
That's honestly the only pro clip I've ever seen of Dan Orlovsky.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't even know he played like anywhere else.
He wasn't good with them either.
everywhere.
He was with Detroit. He was. I mean, he spent some time. He had some cups of coffee, but
He's still with ESPN too.
Yeah, he had a
He's still
crazy
there.
tweet yesterday about hygiene. That he does that a lot.
Huh.
He said you can go 2 days without showering in the summer as long as you get in a
No.
saltwater pool.
nope.
No, absolutely
No.
not.
I
No,
just
no,
at this
no.
point, like the guy's good on TV,
Look.
but That stuff is
I'm not
just
signing up
ridiculous.
for swamp booty here.
No.
No. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
It's too
I don't
hot
care
for
who
that.
you are.
Maybe he learned that from
Gross.
Jim Irsay.
I'd be down to test it.
Probably. Of course you would.
The
Anybody got
thing-
a saltwater pool?
The thing I remember, so Rhett, when you think of sometimes like signature moments in teams that you're a fan of, in like images that are burned into your mind in a good way, of like you can just see it. Like when Ramon and Tennessee won the SEC East in 2007, I can literally see Dan Williams blocking the field goal to send it to a fifth overtime for Tennessee to win that game and go to the SEC championship. I can literally see Rob Baronis in the all powder blue
Yeah.
kick that thing 60 yards to beat Indy. And that was back too when and they've brought it back, the Code Blue games. Like wearing the all powder blue was a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
A
Absolutely.
huge deal.
And if I remember correctly, that kick, it still had something extra on it.
Yes,
It
it
would have
did.
been good
Did
for
he
60
really?
plus.
Yes, it did.
Crazy.
And Red is 100%
It
right.
didn't just die over the
Right.
crossbar. It had a little extra.
It was not Chase McGrath against Alabama.
No,
say the
it was
least.
not.
And you weren't in Denver. Like
That's
that's
right.
the other
No.
portion of it. Like good.
That's right. But, and we were on the wrong end of that when Peyton was in Denver and
Yeah.
Matt Prater hit the 65-yarder
Right.
on that deal. That was a bad day.
Goodness.
But I'm just thinking about the Colts this year. And you get them in week 5. And I like that they get them in week 5 because hopefully Anthony Richardson has not figured things out by then. Because he's still going to have some rookie bumps.
the entire year is going to be rookie.
I mean, but
bumps.
that first
Yeah.
3-4 weeks,
Yeah.
there's a lot of sloppy, undisciplined football played. You know this because you don't have two-a-days at training camp. You don't. The off-season structure is changed, and that listen, you guys bargained for that, and that's what you got, and that's good. But the byproduct is only the teams that are playing halfway decent ball are the ones that get that first jump start to when it counts in November and December.
Facts, Rep B. We got some good stuff in Scout Meeting Wednesday. too.
There we go.
Great stuff here as well. Rhett Bryan, thank you as always, sir.
Glad to do it.
It's great.
Hey.
Coming up, more clarity on Alvin Kamara and his legal troubles this offseason as he puts some of that story behind him, yet may now have a suspension ahead of him. The latest coming up next on RKW.
Hey, I'm joined now by our good friend Dean Glasscock of Arbor Art Tree and Shrub. You all know what the other lawn care guys don't know, Dean, and that is the art of trees and shrub. And, you know, there's so many things you can offer with the accredited company that y'all have. Tell us a little bit more about the full service tree care you offer.
That's right. Hey, good morning. Happy Wednesday. We're halfway there to the weekend. Yeah, full service tree care. I've been talking about it for a long time. 29 years in business, almost 30 years now. Super proud of that. Got a great crew. Accredited. We're accredited through the Tree Care Association Tree Care Industry Association, and also ISA certified arborist. I've got 3 arborists on staff. We're registered through the state of Tennessee. We're a drug-free workforce as well, so I'm real proud of our guys. Our guys are real approachable. You don't have to be afraid. You know, some people are skeptical about having people on their property. I'm one of those kind of people, and, you know, we're just real trustworthy, and our zone listeners know that. So don't forget, 615-299-9999. That's an easy phone number to remember. If you have tree issues or shrubs around your home that you need help with, we can help you. Again, 615-299-9999. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.
Almost 30 years of experience. That's Arbor Art Tree and Shrub for exceptional service every time. Like Dean said, call 299-9999 or just check them out online at arborart.net.
Wednesday morning at Ramon, Kayla Will is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Coming up in hour number 3, Ramon Foster takes us into the film room. We dive into what the film says about the Indianapolis Colts. Go from the past to the present. 615-737-1045 is our number. We've also got the PGA Tour giving us some very interesting details on their partnership that is not yet official with Live Golf yesterday on Capitol Hill. We'll get to that coming up as well in hour number 3. But, guys, we got more clarity on Alvin Kamara, and he's put the legal process of his charge over the summer behind him, yet now awaits a likely suspension from the National Football League. Yesterday, Alvin Kamara pleaded no contest to a lesser misdemeanor charge of breach of peace for an incident that took place in Las Vegas, February of 2022, per the Clark County District Court. He will have to complete 30 hours of community service and pay $105,000 of restitution to the victim for past medical expenses as a result of his no contest plea. He'll also be fined $500 and now will likely be disciplined by the NFL under the league's personal conduct policy.
Too many cameras around. You can't do this type of stuff. That's bad. If your homeboy's doing something on benefit of you, leave. If you trying to be with your homeboys doing stuff like this, don't. It just ain't worth the $100,000 to a dude that you beat up. Man, that's an expensive butt whooping. Tell you that much.
I believe this was at the All-Star festivities, right?
I think so. It was somebody.
February 22 in Vegas.
Which is also like, come on, like you're at an NFL event, you know, in terms of what you're there doing.
Yeah.
You can't do it at this point. You're still in your career. You shouldn't do it anyway.
Yeah.
But I get like sticking up for people and all that stuff. But
that, right?
This is just not. You can't do that in this part of your career where you're still trying to have a career and be, you know, something in the league, which he has been.
Yeah.
This is just it stinks. It's not a good look on him. It's a hit to his, I guess, pocketbook a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people would look at the $100,000 fine and say, that ain't nothing. It's still something.
So NBC Sports previously reported that Kamara was bracing for a 6-game suspension.
Whoa.
But that was before he agreed to plead no contest, which drops the felony charge of this thing. So
Okay.
the NFL's personal conduct policy states conduct by anyone in the league that is violent, dangerous, or irresponsible and puts innocent victims at risk and undercuts public respect and support for the NFL. So even if there are not criminal charges, the NFL can still suspend you for things that put innocent victims at risk, according to their public policy on this. I would guess 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Fair, Ramon?
Yeah, 4 games. They'll probably say 4, try to reduce to 2.
Because I think if they're originally saying 6 and now the felony charge is gone, does that bring the suspension down maybe just a couple more? Because I'm kind of from like they're going to say 6 originally, then come down to 4.
For a situation like this, I think they go to 4 and settle at 2 almost. He is an item. The fact the felony is dropped, that's big right there. And he's already got to pay out of pocket and do community service. So if I was negotiating his suspension, I'd say, hey, look, he's already been hit here, here, and here. Losing 2 game checks is going to hit him way more than that $100K is. So let's work on 2 games right here.
Does this look bad, though, in terms of the NFL? And we continue to kind of have this conversation with some things that players are, you know, suspended for game-wise. Like if this ends up to just be 2 games, and then you're looking at MPF and the situation with him gambling on a non-NFL game, and he's getting 6 games from the bat and can't even say, hey, look, can we go back and relook at this and get fewer games? Like, does that look bad, though?
With the gambling as it stands right now, no, because they worry about protecting the shield, the NFL logo. And I think as outward as the gambling stuff is, you much rather keep the integrity of the game or respect of the game as far as a guy making a personal decision. That's to separate on one. Now, if we're talking about something domestic or a situation like that, that's one that they can't miss on because that's the shield and that's more personal. Oh, yeah. I think the law kind of handled this one for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
615-737-1045, our number. Coming up next on Capitol Hill, the PGA Tour has given us new insight into some proposals of its merger with Liv. Many of them are weird. One of them makes a lot of sense. And then there's another part of it that is a hilarious add-on by one of the now most influential people in the sport of golf. We reset that headline coming up next at halftime of a very fast show. Off and running right here on Ramon, Kale, and Will.
What the heck's going on? It's 8 o'clock. It's time to wake up. We're in the 104.5 The Zone studios, and I'm Robert Walsh. Saints running back Alvin Kamara pled no contest. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. To a misdemeanor charge of breach of peace for his involvement in a 2022 fight in Las Vegas, according to court records, opening the door to NFL discipline. The Saints drafted Kendre Miller with the 71st overall pick in the third round of this year's NFL draft. Some new NBA rule changes. The Board of Governors has approved 2 new gameplay changes for the 23-24 season. First will be an in-game penalty for flopping is going to result in a technical foul free throw. And the second is a second coach's challenge will be awarded if the first challenge is unsuccessful. And the Major League draft wrapped up yesterday, and Tennessee right-handed pitcher Bryce Jenkins was drafted by the New York Mets in the 17th round. It's the second consecutive draft the Mets have taken a Tennessee pitcher. They drafted Blake Tidwell in the second round of last year's draft. The Vols have had 8 players drafted, 6 of them being pitchers. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Off we go into the second half of the show on a beautiful Wednesday morning in Music City. Welcome in to Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. And we've got Scout Meeting Wednesday coming at you in 20 minutes as Ramon Foster takes us inside the film room scouting the Indianapolis Colts. An interesting discussion on what Indianapolis has done to revamp their offense under a new head coach, under a new quarterback. We'll get the latest from them as we just remind you all the things that have happened in the NFL offseason. Guys, I feel like we've reached that point of the offseason where we not only have to remind our audience, which spans the globe on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, who teams have added or subtracted. We also just have to remind ourselves, because it's easy to forget.
It is.
Yeah.
All the moves that have been made.
It's a lot of moves being made, man. Team, like, you look at rosters, they're not the same from last year. The turnover ain't a lot, but it's like a few key pieces that you're like, oh, he's on this team too? Yeah, absolutely.
And now we're just 2 weeks away from training camp, which is nuts. So it's like then we really are starting to ramp it up. So this is perfect that we start the Scout Team Wednesdays a little early so that we get the viewers and the listeners all up to date.
Up to date, Kayla. Football season just consumes you.
It's crazy.
It really does.
Not much time off, right?
Well, yesterday, the PGA Tour was on Capitol Hill, and the relationship and partnership they have with the Saudi Public Investment Fund during a Senate investigative subcommittee hearing yesterday released some concrete details of possible ways LIV will partner with the PGA Tour. And the biggest thing that stood out to me in this, guys, is that tour executives made it clear that the sides still have wrinkles to work out, including what happens to LIV, what happens to Greg Norman, the head of LIV Golf, and the exact size of the massive Saudi investment that tour officials say will help stabilize the fractured world of pro golf. Jimmy Dunn, PGA Tour policy board member, essentially said, there is no merger. There is simply an agreement to try to get a deal done, and said that reports about the deal were very misleading and inaccurate when the PGA Tour themselves legitimately posted their own story about this. I digress. Among the presentation points given, Tiger and Rory both owning LIV teams. Don't like that. Tiger and Rory each playing in 10 LIV events, as LIV would just continue to be its own tour, but PGA Tour pros would also play on LIV. And Yasir Al-Ramayan, I think that's how you say it.
Probably
Looks
so.
like
Sounded
Looks
good.
like it.
Threw in there, hey, by the way, I want a membership to Augusta National,
Okay.
which I think is hilarious.
You did?
What?
How much does it cost you?
The guy from the Saudi Public Investment Fund is just like, hey, by the way, if I'm going to invest all this billions in golf,
Yeah.
can I just play at 18 at Augusta whenever I want to? Thanks.
Is that what he said?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's part
that's
of
pretty
the
much- yeah.
part of the proposal to be.
By the way, I want a little something from this.
yeah.
I mean, I would too. That'll get you in the door. $1 billion, right?
Oh, yeah.
$1 billion to get you in
Well,
the door.
and there's no, well, we don't know how much money the Saudi Public Investment Fund is investing in golf, but that's just hilarious to me.
Goodness.
I just kind
Wow.
of thought more so this was a joint, like, merging. Like, again, I know that those things it was not made clear, but I think a majority of us kind of thought that they were just coming together to create a new kind of PGA.
I did.
And now
too.
it looks like what you're saying, Will, is they're still going to be separate. Like, they're still two different tournaments.
Not necessarily. So
Okay.
these are
Or two different.
points that have not been ironed out. So that's
Okay.
the point that I was trying to make and probably didn't do a good enough job of, was that these are all proposals made
Yeah.
between the two parties with which an official final document of this is how it's going to look hasn't been come to an agreement. Like they haven't come to an agreement on that yet.
Who will vote? Is the players going to say?
Well, it depends on what the Senate allows them to do. So
Jeez.
that's part of this, is that this is still an antitrust investigation done by a Senate investigative subcommittee where the PGA Tour and LIV, once they decide how much is the Saudi Public Investment Fund going to invest within the league, will probably dictate how much say they have in what it looks like. But there are still there's a ton of proposals out there. I mean, you've got everything from a World Golf Series team event that would conclude in Saudi Arabia. You've got LIV continuing to operate as an independent circuit with its schedule confined just to the fall. That's one of the things that's been proposed of, all right, all the LIV guys are going to play PGA Tour, but then they're also going to play LIV. It just has to be between this time frame and things like that. One of the things they want to do is have team events based on nationalities and try to be kind of a Ryder Cup adjacent level yearly tournament.
Okay.
Instead of that being, in the series the way it is right now. So it's fascinating to see what comes of this. I don't think anyone on either side has any clue what the final iteration of PGA and LIV looks like.
Can I just say one thing? Just for, I love golf. I would say I'm a little more than a casual viewer. But for those casual viewers, if they want to grow the game, my advice, and I know they're not listening, maybe they are, is to keep it as simple as you can. Because if there are too many events on too many different places where you're trying to search for this tournament and that tournament, like, that's not going to help the game of golf. Like, let's also try to continue to help grow the game of golf and these personalities. Because if it's too much, if it's too complicated, I'm not even tuning in.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Kayla, 100%, because it seemed like, okay, now you just want to pile on because you have this bankroll to do what you want to with. I'm with you on that. The other question I have is this, too, because you mentioned the Saudis buying this up. Like, for you guys, like, that really following this, is this a bad thing or a good thing? Because you mentioned that they're buying in, and it seems like, oh, this is bad, we're about to lose golf. Is this actually pretty good for where golf is and where it needs to head to? With this influx of money that's going in,
Yes.
it's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
mean,
it is.
it's money.
Because you mentioned this thing like, oh, we're not supposed to be, doing these types of things. Seems taboo, but if it's going to enhance what golf is to the consumer and it keeps
Right.
the
They got to
integrity
make sure
of
they
it.
do it right, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's money. It's a good thing. They're
Absolutely.
investing in the game.
Okay.
But they got to make sure they do it right.
Yes.
I think that's important.
I think the thing that's going to be
Yes.
really good for golf, too, is this TGL.
Yeah.
That's going to start in 2024, which this is a primetime golf league that's essentially going to be like golf at night, where you have analytics behind every shot. You've got a ton of data, high-tech, high-energy fan experience with fans sitting greenside like they do in Phoenix at the Waste Management, where you've got like stadium par threes.
That would be insane.
It's not going to be 18 holes. It's going to be partly in stadiums or indoors even with lights on, and you get more things like the match that are now mainstreamed and bite-sized. Because I think
Right.
that's the thing for fans that don't want to sit and watch a 5.5 hour round of golf unless it's a major where you're playing for a green jacket or it's the Wanamaker and things like that. If you can make golf bite-sized for people with short attention spans, then you're going to be more accessible to people. And I think that's what the TGL is going to be. So, look, I've said on this show, too, I think the Live merger is outstanding for casual fans and diehard fans. The only people this does not benefit are the ones that stayed loyal to the PGA Tour. But long-term, I think it will benefit them, too, because the sport could not survive going the direction it was going with two rival leagues who didn't have, the platforms they needed to be sustainable long term is basically the simplest way to put it.
Does this lead to more youth programs too? Like, is this part of the PGA Live agreement too? Is, hey, let's incorporate this into schools more, not even privates, like publics. Like, hey, golf program here. If this
it's an
much
expensive
amount
sport
of money,
to play.
I know that's what I'm saying. Just as far as like equipment, like scholarships, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
A word, there's a hotbed of golfing around. Like, if you want to grow the game, like, you got to also hit the youth too.
No, I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what basketball does worldwide. The NFL is trying to do it with flag football and every sport has their, hey, we got to grow it. Is this just for the pros, or is this a trickle down effect of attraction to the golf game too?
I do think they've done a better job of that. I mean, that's why the entire generation of U.S. golfers right now who are so good were inspired by Tiger Woods when they were kids.
Indeed.
Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Max Homa. Max Homa, the guy that, was ranked number 2 in the world a few months ago and is on the record of Tiger is like a hero. And all of them. I mean, you've got a bunch of guys between 20 and 30 even who were inspired by Tiger.
So, and that's why I asked the question, like, where's the trickle down? Tiger brought everybody. Now, there's got to be something. I ain't going to say he brought everybody. Tiger was the dude that brought more eyes to what the game is. And if they're trying to bring more eyes to the game as it stands right now, there's got to be an incentive to bring me to it. You know what I'm saying? Because who's the one guy in this era right now?
I mean, I think a lot of people expected Rory and Jordan to be the guys, but Jordan hasn't really lived up to that consistency. Rory is still always in the mix because he is just
And I think that's just
talented.
what it is with Rory. He's in the mix.
It's him. I mean, not in terms of prestige. No one is touching Tiger in terms of how good he was. Scotty Scheffler would be the closest to that right now. But in terms of the face of the sport to like a worldwide level, Rory McIlroy is unquestionably the face of golf. Outside of Tiger Woods. Okay. Tiger is honestly still just the face of golf.
I know. It's like, Tiger, I feel like it's going to be hard unless his son ends up being
Charlie
close to what, and that's a lot to live up to.
Ooh.
But
now I kind of want to hear that golf bed that we had the Masters. Tony V now. Tony V now. Like, we need more of that in golf.
Should I Chris Vernon? Coming up, switching gears back to the NFL where head coach Shane Steichen and the Indianapolis Colts have a big challenge with a rookie quarterback in resurrecting their team after a 4-12-1 season in 2022. And the question we will ask Ramon Foster for Scout Meeting Wednesday, can Anthony Richardson be Shane Steichen's Jalen Hurts at his new stop? Going from Philadelphia to Indianapolis. We go inside the film room for Scout Meeting Wednesday with Ramon Foster. Coming up next on Ramon, Caitlin, and Will. Hey, it's Will Bowling. At Brentwood Hearing Center, they understand choosing a hearing care provider is a big decision. Their number one priority is delivering exceptional patient care. And the staff at Brentwood Hearing Center, they've got many years of expertise in hearing healthcare, and they're well trained on a variety of services ranging from evaluations to treatment. You can schedule an appointment today at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. Their website is great. Or give them a call at 615-377-0420. Brentwood Hearing Center believes great care includes establishing great relationships with their patients. Treating hearing loss is an ongoing process that requires regular follow-ups, maintenance, and cleanings to keep you hearing your best. Their staff is here to support you not only during your initial visit, but throughout your entire journey or the journey for one of your family members to better hearing. So give them a call, 615-377-0420. Over 30 years, they've got one home, proudly serving Brentwood from the same location for more than 30 years. Their website, again, BrentwoodHearingCenter.com, 615-377-0420. Brentwood Hearing Center, better hearing, better life. Wednesday morning on Ramon, Kalen, Will is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is our phone number. If you want to jump in and make Scout Meeting Wednesday, Trash Talk Wednesday, when it comes to the Indianapolis Colts that we dive into coming up in just a moment. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, Will Bowling here with you as Shane Steichen takes over in Indianapolis, Ramon Foster, and does so with a new quarterback and an offensive line with a lot of the same names that is looking for different results. You have this down on the bullet points you sent us.
Mm-hmm.
You are not out on Quentin Nelson quite yet. Let's start there. Why is that?
No doubt about it, Will. But before we do that, every segment got to have a good intro.
That's right.
Good.
The vocal stylings of Ramon Aloysius Foster, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's play up the Indianapolis Colts, okay? Because why? It's what we do.
Got to make them sound good because they're not.
Got to make them sound good. You said first question was about Quentin Nelson.
You are not out on him. Why is that?
Because he got a big challenge in front of him, and that's Jeffrey Simmons, period. You don't want to get beat by your divisional opponent or your biggest foe in your division every single year. For those reasons, he had a bad down year last year, whatever you want to call it, bad, not Quentin Nelson level is what you would call it, right? And you got Jeff coming right back again with a bag just as big as Quentin Nelson's too. It's mano a mano every time they're going to see each other with Tierra Tartu. So for those reasons, I think we will see a better version of Quentin Nelson. But again, he plays guard. I don't know how significant that's going to be for the rest of his OL. I wanted to point him out simply because he's one of the biggest highlights they have in Indianapolis right now. And for those reasons, he will be a reason, if he's good, they run his direction.
Mm-hmm.
The strengths of the Colts start where, in your opinion?
Jonathan Taylor. Hands down. I wrote down, and it has to be, too. They have so many questions. Rookie quarterback, OL has been in question. Assumed to be better this year as a group. Jonathan Taylor was pushed to be better than Derrick Henry the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. He has been pushed by the league, by national outlets to be the guy in the AFC South. It's going to go through him. You know all things are possible if you got a run game, and the Colts have to rely heavy on him.
Which is surprising that we've heard a little less, right, this season coming into it. I think more so it's like, can he be the guy we all expected him to be?
Yeah.
Can he be healthy? Can he do all those things? But yeah, you're right, Ramon. I mean, he's been getting praise for the last 2 seasons.
Remember, we're talking about
all
MVP.
over Derrick Henry. Before anything about Derrick Henry, it was JT.
It was JT.
Right? And he's underperformed. And look, I get the injuries and stuff, but he's underperformed when it's all said and done.
He has. He's been the man. He's the guy that they want you to fear when it comes down to what Indianapolis has up to offer right now, right, Kayla? So that's going to be a biggie for this team.
And that's my issue when people try to take Derrick Henry off the pedestal and replace him. I understand that there are more versatile running backs than Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. But it's Derrick's longevity that we've compared Derrick to about 5 or 6 different players over the course of the last 4 or 5 seasons.
Yep.
And the only name that stays consistent in the conversation about best running back in the league in that span is Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's been Nick Chubb. It's been Jonathan Taylor. Mm-hmm. It's been Christian McCaffrey. It's been a number of players who can do it for a season. Jonathan Taylor did it in 2021 when he had 18-11, 18 rushing touchdowns, over 100 yards per game, and was an excellent receiver as well. He had over 2,000 all-purpose yards. But then in 2022, he was healthy for 11 games and only had 861 yards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Derrick even did it after the injury, after the foot freak injury.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was still consistent.
But there's so much weight on his back right now, Jonathan Taylor, and they're going to go through him. He's got a lot to prove. Contract probably coming up soon after this, too. Yeah, he's in that conversation now. But, yeah, he's one of their strengths. Moving on.
Absolutely.
Moving on. Another strength of this Colts team, DeForest Buckner. You mentioned his name, you know who he is. He's that type of dude, DeForest Buckner. You know exactly who he is, what he does in every single play. But I got this 8 sacks and 11 TFLs last year, always available. think he was there for 16 or 17 games last year, and he's got a real good Robin. Groven Stewart, solid. He, to me, is Tierre Tart to Big Jeff. Grover solid. I think he just signed a deal last year, if I'm not mistaken, but they got a solid group that is led by him. Also support from guys like Kwity Paye, who's got to prove he's worth that first-round tab. Zaire Franklin, solid linebacker, and also Shaq Leonard, too. Real good group of dudes. If he can stay healthy, Shaq Leonard is one of the best floating linebackers around the league, I feel like. It's a matter of his health and how long they're on the field as a defense.
Buckner just plays the game like so tenaciously. Like I love watching that guy play football.
Yeah. He was one of my biggest.
Tenaciously a word or tenacious is?
It is now.
Now it's a word. Now it's a word.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, I'll allow it. DeForest Buckner was one of my biggest challenges because he's a tall dude, long arms, and he's straight line with his hips so he can get around you or run through you.
Yeah.
With this new outfit of this offensive line interior, you got to have your eye on DeForest Buckner.
I remember the first time I suggested in my college group text that Jeffrey Simmons was better than DeForest Buckner. I was almost tarred and feathered. And now he's like just known as the third best defensive lineman in the league.
Yeah.
And it's accepted that, like Jeff's better.
Yeah.
But DeForest Buckner is still that guy. I think that defense did not get a lot of complimentary play from their offense a season ago. And really the last two seasons between Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan, that defense had to run onto a lot of short fields after a lot of interceptions.
He was a steady Eddie, man.
And I think that defense, and I would say the same is true of the Titans, that we look at the Titans and say, look, the Titans offense was so bad on third downs and could generate no explosive plays that defense was better than what the stats showed a season ago. I think the same could be said about Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I know you've got more strengths, though, but Ramon, just while we're on this topic, one of the weaknesses, though, in talking about gambling suspensions, that secondary has quickly become a weakness in Indianapolis when it was a strength the past few seasons.
It was. They were making plays, getting interception. They had a young, good group of guys. And who was a veteran cornerback?
Stephon Gilmore.
Stephon Gilmore was a good, I thought, compliment
Really
to
good
what they were
signing.
trying to do for them, for what he was there for. But you had a young guy, Isaiah Rodgers. Due to have a payday after this year or going into this year, had a solid season for them last year, and now he's no longer on the team. One, because of suspension, and then they just say, you know what? You don't have enough money in my emotional data bank to keep you on this team.
He bet on NFL games, right?
He bet on NFL games.
Yes,
I think he bet, what was the over-under on rushing?
Yeah, he bet
games?
the under on one of his teammates' rushing totals,
That's
which I think is hysterical.
But the thing about their weaknesses, though, the secondary, you don't know who's there. I couldn't tell you anybody. Like, there are some names.
That's not a good thing.
And even if they did have some high drafted guys, nobody's flashed on paper. Nobody's actually shown you what they're capable of. The best thing that secondary has going for them is that rush they have up front.
Right.
That's the only thing they got. No one rings a bell in that group. Not to say that a stud won't come out of that group this year, but the best thing they got is their front defensive line and rushers. That secondary should get dogged this year.
So second-round corner Julius Brents will be a very important draft pick for Indianapolis. The corner taken out of Kansas State, number 44 overall, in a huge draft class. I mean, you're talking about Anthony Richardson, but Julius Brents, Josh Downs, the wide receiver from North Carolina, BYU tackle Blake Freeland, added Tamiwa Adebare from Northwestern, the just athletic freak they take at 110. Darius Rush from South Carolina, who had a really good game against Tennessee in that Tennessee-South Carolina loss. They've got young players in the secondary. Interesting, Ramon, that in Pro Football Focus's estimation, safety is their shallowest position. Rodney Thomas II was a seventh-round pick last year, had an overall PFF grade of 54.3, and is projected to start this year next to Julian Blackmon, who has just kind of been inconsistent through his whole career at the strong safety spot.
So you see what I'm saying? Like, they got components, but especially when you're incorporating young dudes at that position in today's game, when you air the ball out.
I was just going to say that. And maybe not as much challenge in the AFC with some unknown quarterback play. I'm not really talking about Ryan, but some of the other guys. I mean, you got Trevor Lawrence, though. But, I mean, the way that they sling the ball around in this league, like, you have to have that backside be somewhat
Yeah,
full.
intact. Yeah, and the thing about it though too, it's hit or miss with this type of stuff because if they get taken advantage of early in their careers, there's no bouncing back into drafting another guy
Yeah.
at that position.
What else you have?
Another strength. I just got to put Shane Steichen because his averages as far as like ranking in the NFL has been really good. He's known for the deep passing. He got a guy that can make the deep pass. Anthony Richardson, okay. Strong arm, help from a lanky Michael Pittman Jr., solid rookie season last year from Alec Pierce. So they got a couple 1-2 guys that they've been well enough. And let's not forget Jelani Woods. I know Rhett was big on Jelani Woods. He was actually almost a Titan killer when he went up there. He went up there, like he was good. He's a rangy tight end, and I'd expect more out of him this year. They have some components. They don't have my faith. And this is where I'm going to go with my first weakness that I had on them too, was just this. New head coach and a rookie quarterback that Irsay can't wait to put on a pedestal. I'm looking for pick city this year. Just point blank period. I don't know if the O-line's going to be able to have enough time to protect AR when it comes down to it. And if they're not running the ball, you make yourself very one-dimensional when it comes down to it. So is that, and then you got Gardner Minshew in your quarterback room. I put also pick city. You got Sam Erlinger in your quarterback room. Pick city. You got a bunch of guys that are motivated but don't have much moxie behind it.
The one thing I'll say about Gardner, it's not just because he went to Washington State, but I will stick up for him in the fact that in any other quarterback room where you had a solid, proven starter, he is a very solid backup. I would love to have him here in Tennessee backing up Ryan Tannehill.
Great teamer.
But that is something that you can't really look at the backups and say, oh, yeah, they're solid because they're really not starters. Like Minshew isn't really a starter. And you've got AR, like you said, who's kind of being thrusted into this position saying, okay, we're ready. We're ready to see what you can do. It's not like you can count on really any of them year one.
Exactly.
I think AR will grow into that role, but right now Gardner can't just come in and take over.
And that's where my last 2 points come in as far as weaknesses and just my summary. Offensive coordinator to me is still a weakness too. Love him. Block for him, Jim Bob Cooter is the offensive coordinator. Think about this. Jim Bob hadn't called plays since 2018 with the Lions. At that time, they ranked 25th overall in points, 23rd overall in rushing yards, and 20th in passing. Some challenges here considering what the Titans defense usually looks like. And just to summarize them too, man, they were 4-12-1 last year. I really don't expect too much more from them. Too many missing pieces and not enough support on the offensive line, secondary, and running back depth.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be 4-12-1.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to see them be above 500.
And who's running the show, really?
Who's Irsay? Irsay. When management get involved, what coaches do is usually never a good thing.
Like Jerry Jones, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Can Indianapolis develop Anthony Richardson into a Jalen Hurts style playmaker? Not Jalen Hurts level. I think it's unrealistic to give him MVP level expectations upon his, he hadn't even had his first training camp yet. But is it fair for a former Philadelphia offensive coordinator to maybe use him in a similar way to the way they made Jalen comfortable?
That's got to be plan one. Definitely. It has to be Kayla. Like, there's no other way around it. But this is the thing. This is the separator between Jalen Hurts and Anthony Richardson to me. Hurts played. Hurts had some downfalls. Hurts went to another place and resurrected himself. Hurts went to Philly, beat a guy out.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson has yet to have almost any adversity at the quarterback position. One-year starter, making it happen, drafted in the first round early, and giving the keys to it. Like, only thing that's going to put him to Jalen Hurts level to me is time.
And let's put sorry.
No, I was just going to say, how much time is Irsay willing to spend to get him to that point?
Because right now he's a shiny new toy.
He is.
And a lot of this has also come on his draft stock row significantly because of just the monstrosity of who he is. Like his body, the athleticism, the freak that he is. A lot of it is like there's a lot of a high ceiling. Can you get to it though? And that's a good point there.
Yeah.
Is like, how long are they willing to roll with? Well, he's gonna get there.
That would be the plan, yes. Can they do it? I'm about 60% no, just because of the time and how microwave the league is to it quarterbacks.
I think Gardner Minshew is going to make at least one start this season.
That's what I was going to ask, Will. Do you think that's because Anthony gets hurt or just because they want to just change things up?
There are so many reasons why it could happen that I think it will.
Yeah.
Just considering as much of an athlete as Anthony Richardson is, Amar makes a great point in the F&M Bank chat. He's going to have to understand how to use his body in an intelligent way, and that you can't just pinball off of tacklers like you could against Missouri and Kentucky and Vanderbilt.
Yep.
No.
This is the NFL now.
Absolutely not. He will be taken to the ground. And just mentally, Will, from the way defenses can, like I've been in those rooms where the defensive coordinator is just salivating because they got a rookie quarterback. I don't care if he is a prodigy like Trevor Lawrence or Andrew Luck. Like, oh my gosh, you don't know what you don't know. Like, that's what he's gonna have to deal with too. As far as like trying to figure out his body, like they're gonna blitz him so hard, dog.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It is funny that all of those Tennessee fans who have remained Colts fans because of Peyton Manning, and there are plenty of them, many of them have switched allegiances to the Titans. The Titans having the run they've been on since 2019 has helped that. Yeah. But for those fans that have stayed Volunteers and Colts, you've got to have the same feeling about Joe Milton as you do about Anthony Richardson going into a rookie season. A, because I still think similar quarterbacks. Their arm strength, their athleticism. I've seen some criticism of Joe Milton's athleticism. I think the freak testing, the vertical, the broad jump, the 40-yard dash. You can make the argument Joe Milton runs a little soft. I'm okay having that conversation. But in terms of the pure athleticism of things that those two guys can do, I think they check a lot of the same boxes.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of the same questions. Can they hone in the deep passing game and take the next step to harness their athleticism in a way that makes their team a contender within their own division?
Yeah. And it takes time to refine that type of stuff, too. Like, it's one thing to do it in OTAs and minicamp and training camp, right? But, like, the live reps that you get in stadium with the lights on, like, stuff's a little bit different. Yeah. Like, the speed's just a tick quicker, too. You know what I'm saying? So that adjustment, like, Irsay is going to be highly upset this year. It's kind of the way I see this.
And even with Cam, the success Cam had, because he's that big, he was a big-bodied quarterback, that athletic quarterback.
Yeah.
His body got beat up, though.
It did.
And look what, I mean, I think he could have had a longer career if he was a little different in terms of the beginning of his career. And I mean, he got beat up. It doesn't matter how big you are, right?
Yep.
So Anthony Richardson got to learn that, Ramon. Like you said early on, how to be smart.
Think about Malik last year.
Yeah.
He was looking around. Like, he spun around into a sack or two because he wasn't aware of what like how fast the game is, and that's fair. That's supposed to happen, but to put everything on the shoulders of Anthony Richardson early on or try to go deep ball with him the entire time or do run action, you're going to expose a lot of stuff that he's probably not ready for.
615-737-1045, the number, your phone calls as we continue. We'll start with Phil coming up next as Scout Meeting Wednesday rolls on here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
It's Ramon Foster from My PhD Weight Loss. Today is Wednesday. I actually have my call with my coach, Rachel, tomorrow. You're probably thinking, Ramon, what are you talking about, a coach? Yes, I have a nutrition coach. Her name is Rachel. She is employed by My PhD Weight Loss, and it works. We talk about my plan, our plan on how we continue on. Again, I told you guys I'm down 67 pounds, even with vacation, okay? And that's simply because we have a plan. We have a guide and into what we're doing, and just continue out the summer and fall going into this thing too until where I'm comfortable in my weight loss journey. I don't care if it's 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 50 or 100. They will help you. There's a science to what they do, and it is absolutely magnificent. I've seen the results. Others have seen the results too, and it's not just me. They have actual NCAA college teams too that they help out with guys coming into college, don't know how to manage themselves or just transitioning their bodies. It's something that works, and if there's something you've been thinking about, it's never too late to start. Today may be Wednesday, but guess what? You can start tomorrow with your consultation and do the same thing that I've done. Go to myphdweightloss.com and definitely be sure to tell them that Ramon sent you.
Wednesday morning at Ramon, Kayla, and Will is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here on 104.5 The Zone. Coming up, we'll recap the headlines, take a look back at last night's All-Star game once again at 9 o'clock. 615-737-1045 is how you join in on the discussion. We go next to Phil, who is in Nashville, with us on the phone lines talking Titans this morning. What's up, Phil?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning, Phil.
Morning.
Yeah, so I got a question for all three of you all guys to elaborate on. This is the reason why Andre Hopkins should come here. Is between the defensive backs that we have to face, say, going to New England, Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey, Buffalo Bills defensive backs, Sauce Gardner, New York Jets.
Yep.
And as y'all was talking about the defensive backs here in the AFC South, his numbers will be astronomical.
Yeah.
Compared to going at the AFC or AFC East. So I don't want to hang up and hear y'all out.
No doubt.
Thanks, Phil.
Good point.
I think the Titans are the perfect mix of opportunity from the individual side and the team side.
Yep.
You have an opportunity on a team that might be one receiver away from contending in their division, but you also have an opportunity to be the guy. Whereas in New England, in a more crowded wide receiver room that has weapons, not only are you not as likely to be the guy, you're not as likely to contend within that division if you join that team. I don't think the Patriots are one guy away. Patriots probably 3 or 4 guys away from being AFC East contenders.
Yep.
I think the Titans might genuinely be 1 or 2 guys away if they stay healthy. That's a massive if. From contending in the South. I think Phil brings up a good point.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Phil. And especially, I love listening to what we were saying about, the secondary and the Colts is a little bit weak right now. That's a great point. Now that I'm thinking about them, okay, yeah. And now the talk has died down a little bit about New England, and we've heard some reports about the Buffalo Bills being a little interested. We talked about Kansas City being possibly interested still. I think that's what DeAndre is honestly waiting out for, is just a chance. Give me a chance to go to one of these Super Bowl contending teams. But honestly, I think the Titans in the long run have a great chance at getting DeAndre Hopkins, just for the fact that it's not the perfect team to go to. No team is ever perfect to go to, because there's always situations you could find that you could say,
a little bit better.
Yeah, that's a crowded room up in Kansas City, right? How much are you going to get the ball there? But when it comes down to it, you look at all these little things that he's thinking about in the latter parts of his career. Where do I want to go? Where would I fit? And it really does make sense.
And Phil, we've talked about that before when it comes down to why choose the Titans, the South. You get your numbers up. I said, 1,100 for him would be a good number to have as far as D-Hop goes. It's feasible here. If, of course, Tim Kelly opens up a little bit and throw it. That's the other portion of it, too. Is having that real serious conversation Bill O'Brien, I know he's going to, throw it down the field to me, but can your quarterback actually throw it to you?
Yeah.
Mac Jones is a real question. Only people I'm concerned about, I even think the Bills situation is drummed up a little bit more than it's true.
I do too.
Only people I believe in right now that could come in last minute would be Kansas City.
Right.
But what are you willing to take in a year? $2 million to DeAndre Hopkins may feel like he's undervaluing himself a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But any team will make it work for 1 year.
That one just depends on how much they can save by extending Chris Jones.
Right.
That's the thing for Kansas City, is that Chris Jones in 2023 is scheduled to make a cap hit of $28.2 million. If they can extend him out, he's a free agent next offseason. If they could even cut that number in half, then they all of a sudden are in a better cap situation than the Titans.
Can I ask a question? And maybe, I don't know, I just think about this. Kansas City has been a Super Bowl contender for the past few years, right? And they have a lot of the weapons already. Every year, they lose a couple pieces, but they still make it work. And I just feel like is DeAndre Hopkins really the key to for sure getting them back to that Super Bowl and winning it? Like, is that for sure what they need and what they're going to go out there and pay money for? Like, I really do wonder if you're Kansas City, they can say all they want about, we want D-Hop. Do they really need D-Hop?
I think they do.
Yeah. I think
Their wide receivers are Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Kadarius Toney, and Sky Moore.
But look what they did last year with not a lot.
I know, but
Because Kelsey's considered a wide receiver in several situations.
Of course, right.
You know,
and
right?
their window will be wide open as long as Patrick Mahomes plays quarterback for them and is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a valid point. But I do think that going into a season with Marquez Valdez-Scantling as your one, and even with Mahomes as your quarterback, you can upgrade on that.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly by adding DeAndre Hopkins.
D-Hop is another distraction for a team like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's exactly like they're the same way they use Juju.
Yeah.
Like Juju, we know who he is. Oh, well, guess what Juju is going to do? He might hit you for 50 in a game. That 50 actually puts him into the red zone where they score.
Yeah.
So that's what he becomes. Here, I think he actually is an item.
I think
Your
his numbers,
focus point.
I think his numbers would be more inconsistent in Kansas City.
Yeah.
I think his numbers could be more solid here,
I don't know.
possibly.
I don't think so, because how many times did A.J. Brown even go 2 catches for 11 yards? Because the Titans will go away from the passing game. Like if Derrick Henry has a 200-yard game, DeAndre Hopkins will get 3 catches for 10. I mean, Titans wide receivers are untouchable for me in fantasy football because they could go for 150 or they could go for 15.
I think maybe that's just me hoping that Tim Kelly is changing a little. There's a little bit of difference with what they're going to do. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wishful thinking on this.
We all are, Kayla.
But I'm trying to grab an apple right now.
Trying to manifest this thing into passing.
And Kayla, I do think you are right that the best iteration of the Titans now would be to open things up and have a receiver who is a consistent number one.
Mm-hmm.
If the Titans win the AFC South, it's because they have a consistent Traylon Burks and a consistent DeAndre Hopkins who are putting up 6 catches for 50 at minimum every game.
I love the room if it's Traylon, D-Hop, and NWI with Chig.
I do too. And then having Kyle as a third down threat.
You got a solid starting point.
I still don't love it, but I at least like it. And the Titans, at least at that point, wouldn't be dead last in terms of, I mean, by far, they have the worst receiver room in the NFL right now. It's not even close.
I'm not vouching, though.
Yeah,
You're not vouching. We're not going to let you vouch because that will ruin everything.
Every time Ramon vouches for a player, something bad happens.
Vouch for somebody on the Colts or something. Vouch for Trevor Lawrence.
Ramon Foster would like to vouch for Trevor Lawrence.
I have
He's going to have a great season.
He's going to have a great season.
Coming up, fourth and final hour of the show, and J.J. Watt is lying in the media again for attention. What's new? It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
9 o'clock. We're just about there from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Saints running back Alvin Kamara pled no contest to a misdemeanor charge of breach of peace for his involvement in a 2022 fight in Las Vegas, opening the door to NFL discipline. The Saints drafted Kendre Miller with the 71st overall pick in this year's draft, just in case Kamara did face suspension. Some NBA new rule changes. The NBA Board of Governors has approved 2 new gameplay changes for the 2023-24 season. An in-game penalty for flopping will result in a technical foul free throw, and a second coach's challenge will be awarded if the first challenge is successful. Tennessee's right-handed pitcher Bryce Jenkins was drafted by the New York Mets in the 17th round. It's the second consecutive draft the Mets have taken a Tennessee pitcher. They drafted Blake Tidwell in the second round of last year's draft. The Vols have had 8 players drafted. 6 of them have been pitchers. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Would you look at the time? 60 minutes remain on a Wednesday morning that has flown by. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. What trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. With our whole crew in studio, he is Ramon Foster. She's Kayla Anderson. Behind the glass, there is Robert Walsh. My name is Will Bowling.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. Knew it.
615-737-1045. How you join in. If you can't see us, that's not just because of this music. Maybe it's because you don't have 104.5 The Zone TV turned on. You can join us there on the FNM Bank chat. YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, and Twitch, where we are on the air.
Tell them, Will.
On a streaming experience unlike any other in the city of Nashville and beyond. We're doing it live, and we know when. J.J. Watt really annoys me more than any other athlete should annoy me. And Travis Kelce is kind of in this same category of players that if camera awareness was an attribute on Madden would be a maxed out 99 overall.
Oh, man.
J.J. Watt knows when and where a camera is. He knows how to schmooze a podcast host. And now in an interview that he did on The Green Light with Chris Long, J.J. Watt says that after his release from Houston, he considered signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers to join his brothers, TJ and Derek. However, J.J. says that he didn't want to take money away from his brother, TJ, saying TJ was also going through the contract situation there. And the last thing I was going to do was come in and take any money from his contract. I don't believe you.
Brotherly love.
Not even a little bit. Hey, JJ, buddy, if you didn't want to take away money from your brother, maybe just take a lesser contract.
That's
What a wild concept. Hey, you don't have to sign for a 4-year, $112 million extension. Yet JJ has done this thing that he likes to do. He's made something not about him about himself. And he has taken his brother's contract extension and said, well, you know, I helped him get that by not going to be his teammate. So by association, I should be applauded as his big brother. Don't congratulate TJ on his play. No, I am the one that got it. Give me a break. This is the same guy that told Deshaun Watson, I'm so sorry we couldn't win for you, as they're walking off the field in Houston, as he peeks over his shoulder, recognize, oh, there's a camera behind me. There's a camera behind me. Deshaun, buddy, nobody talks like that. Not as you're walking off the field. J.J. Watt, I know you're not that guy on Tuesdays, but J.J., you are not that guy, pal. You're really not.
It will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I got to give him that. I gotta give him that. Well, he is a first ballot, but your rant was epic. Though. I gotta give you that one too. Well, that was a Hall of Fame rant too.
Yeah.
But he didn't have to say that. That's essentially what it was. Like TJ was gonna get broke off regardless of the situation. Okay, TJ's a great teammate. He was one of mine, man. He's a relentless player. Golly, he's so freaking good. There was nothing that's going to stop that train. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I don't know if there was going to be a situation where they were going to try to sign you unless it was on a barking deal to get 3 brothers on one team. And Pittsburgh's actually, no, they hadn't done that. They had 2 brothers on 2 teams. They had 3 sets of brothers on the team at one time. If you wanted to, JJ, you could have gone to Pittsburgh. It just wouldn't have been for $112 million over 4 years.
I've always just never really liked him just for the fact that his play on the field, look, like you said, probably going to go into the hall, right?
Yeah.
However, it's like, will the real JJ please stand up? Yeah. Who in the world is JJ Watt for real? Because he could go into acting after his career. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people are going to have to listen to him on
he could be John
CBS.
Cena.
Yeah. Is he going to CBS, right? He's broadcasting.
I'm not even
I
sure.
believe he has been added to that crew.
Wow.
Correct.
And so get ready for some more acting. Because unless he learns quickly to just be himself, which I just have not seen in his career, that's what we're going to get. Those players are just hard to connect to because I think for some, like Houston fans, he is the guy, right? Like
you mean
they will
like when
always
they're
love
that
him.
big of a star?
Yeah, it's Russell Wilson kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Like, who
It
are
is.
you, Russell?
Absolutely
Who really
is.
are you?
Yeah.
To me, I think J.J. Watt will be like Alex Rodriguez on TV,
Yeah.
where every single bit of analysis he will do will be about him. Like, well, when I was in Houston and X, Y, and Z, like, we know. We watched you play in Houston.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be for him. Like, well, I would always say to my teammates, like, Alex Rodriguez will do this, like, in the middle of a playoff game in the 8th inning. He'd be like, Mariano Rivera once told me that if you go fastball, then the cutter on the out's like, buddy, like, we know you play with Mariano Rivera. Like, just talk me through this at bat. I don't care. It's not even the Yankee thing.
Yeah.
I hate it when analysts rely on their own experience, like, all the time from the playing perspective. Like, when we watched them play, like, we know that you're here because you play with Mariano Rivera. You don't have to reset it for us.
And we know your name.
And you just know JJ is going to do that.
Yeah.
And there's like some incidences where you can use an example that is warranted in that situation.
100%.
But when you're doing it like constantly, that's when I think it gets
when it becomes your
old.
crutch.
Yeah,
when
I
it
guess you
becomes
could
your
say
crutch.
that.
Yeah.
And for athletes, that's a unique part of being an athlete that's watched around the world every Sunday.
Is you can sell your experiences too.
Right.
But
But
at a
like,
certain
we
point-
also watched a lot of those experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can just say, I've seen people instead of I did these things.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And there's a likable way to do it. Like, sometimes there are broadcasters, when you're telling a funny story on the Manning cast
Yeah.
between Peyton and Eli, that's also a broadcast that is literally built around them telling stories. So that's a little bit of a different format.
Yeah.
We're talking more traditional play-by-play color sideline broadcasts and studio where he will be on NFL Today with CBS. But there's a likable way to do it that relates it to what is happening in front of you without just everything is me.
Yeah, when I was in North Carolina, this used to come up often when I would talk to Carolina Panther greats.
Wow.
Also, just joking. But
that.
on a more
Yeah,
serious
because
note.
there aren't Carolina Panther greats.
Poor Steve
Julius
Smith.
Pepper.
Steve Smith, Julius Pepper.
We got 2.
I'm exaggerating a bit.
I want to do a science experiment where we could eventually find out who Will is going to hate before he actually hates them. So I'm trying to do a Venn diagram right
That's
now
really
between
a good
J.J.
idea.
Watt, Travis Kelce, and I'm glad you brought up John Cena because he is a proponent of this too, where he will kind of make something a lot bigger than it really is in an interview. Like if he's doing like a late night hit with somebody.
Yeah.
John has a great ability to make people care about things that no one should give a rip about, like Fast 10 or whatever movie he was recently in. So I'm trying to make a list here of who Will would hate before he actually gets to hate them.
Oh,
Now,
go
I
ahead and
don't
guess.
I don't know if you've got to hate Jack Harlow yet. I feel like you would hate Jack Harlow.
I don't really hate Jack Harlow.
Don't hate Jack Harlow.
I hate people that think Jack Harlow is Mac Miller.
Whoa,
Whoa,
okay.
why?
No. Sorry. Well, Well, Mac Miller's better, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay,
sure.
yeah. Okay, all right.
Yeah. No.
It's just when people make easy references where it's like, oh, he's also a white rapper, so he must
exactly.
have the same thing.
I got the ultimate one that's on his list right now, top of his list.
Who you got?
Trevor Lawrence.
No, I don't hate Trevor Lawrence.
But I think
Trevor Lawrence isn't enough of a character for me to have an opinion on
listen
one
to
way
him
or
talk.
another. No, because Trevor doesn't have a personality.
okay.
He's just a good quarterback that people think is elite, that is just like really good, but he's not elite yet.
See, I would put Trevor in there because if you look at the two first guys on this list, JJ and Travis, they both have great strong jaws, right? Trevor also has a strong jaw. I think strong jaw is the first thing you have to look for. I would also throw Christian McCaffrey in there if they made a bigger deal about his modeling success.
Yeah.
Then we would be like, we know you're sexy.
Oh, yeah.
You're an NFL athlete. Why the hell do we need to know you're pretty?
If he had a personality.
If he had a
Yeah, that's
personality.
right.
So they have to be someone with a personality
Yep.
and sexy.
I got another one to add to the list, too.
Who you
This
got?
is a
Who
group.
else do
This is
who
a
do
group.
do you think
you
I
ready?
hate?
Any group of folks that mention A.J. Brown,
If they have strong jaws.
if they have strong jaws. Loose jaw people ain't got a place
Oh,
for
yeah.
Don't you bring that slack jaw around here.
And Tyler Dial in the F&M Bake Chat is right. Pete Alonso, baby.
I
Yeah.
don't really hate Pete Alonso, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the
Shows.
first...
Again, the Mets aren't relevant enough for me to hate
There
them.
it
There
is.
it is. There it is.
They're not.
The Mets as a whole.
Now, if we're doing Philadelphia Phillies, I used to hate Bryce Harper. I don't hate Bryce Harper anymore.
And what does Bryce Harper have?
A strong
jaw.
Strong ass jaw, boy. Strong
Yeah.
jaw.
No, Pete Alonso is just
Strong
kind of
jaw.
weird. Like, I don't know. Like, he's just kind of like.
Just let Will continue to talk. He'll put him in a box
Well,
for
Pete
you.
Alonso, like, the people I hate are people who have beaten my teams at things. Pete Alonso's never beaten the Braves at anything of significance.
Well, you just punching down at this point, Will.
Well, I'm going to say
Yeah,
a
I
name,
am punching down at the
and you
Mets.
tell me if you hate this guy or not. He plays Thor, Chris Hemsworth.
No, I love Thor. Thor is actually one of my most underrated Marvel movies.
He mentioned not Thor, Chris Hemsworth.
I don't really know anything about.
Chris Hemsworth never beat any of his teams.
D
Ramon.
Good in the F&M Bank Chat does say, though, the intensity that Pete Alonso has for the home run derby is creepy. I 100% agree with that. Pete Alonso's cringy. I don't hate him. It's just kind of, I just cringe when he does anything.
All right, last one before
Russell
we go
Wilson.
to break. Russell Wilson does have a strong jaw. But last one before we go to break. A recent study in the United States said, which city in America contains the strongest jawed people? Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah, I hate Memphis. 100%.
Oh, there it is. It all tied up.
Is that actually? Are
Nice
you being serious?
No,
on that?
totally,
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
totally scientific.
Listen.
That study was done by
Iowa
me.
Or something.
My
like the
birth
corn.
certificate says Nashville, Tennessee, so absolutely.
I don't know
I
how
hate
I didn't
Memphis.
mention Memphis.
I know.
Yeah, that's
that
number
was the
one on the
top.
list. 100%.
Yeah, I can't.
I'll
John
give you.
Morant.
Should I give you a
Morant.
John Morant's actually? Kayla's right on that
You
one.
got a weak jaw.
I can't stand John
You got to get a
Morant.
better jaw.
That's the reason he carried
No,
around the
well,
Second Amendment.
I can't stand the attention John Morant gets.
There it is.
That's irrational, though.
There it is.
I have no good reason for that. I just get annoyed by it. I
There
just
it
see his
is.
name too
I,
much.
I could keep naming people all day, but we got to
So should I give a top 5 of people I hate the most tomorrow?
Easily.
I would be down with that. Or we could draft people that Will hates.
Oh, my God.
I think we already had an idea, though.
Oh, we have.
We did.
All
That
right,
might be one for the future.
Interesting. I'm really not a hateful person. Anyone who knows me,
I mean, that's true. You just have
like
your.
I would like to think I'm a nice person.
You pick sides strong.
Yeah. No, if you have an opinion, you stand on it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You pick sides.
There ain't nothing wrong with hating nobody.
I love all
hate
of
is
you.
good. They say hate is the strongest emotion.
Anyone listening to the sound of my
very
voice
true.
right now, I'm thankful for you. I don't hate you. It's fine.
Unless you're from Memphis.
Unless you're from.
Unless I quote unquote bullied you in high school, but that's a separate conversation. Coming up, Lucas Panzica's here.
We don't hate him.
We're going to talk about, we love Lucas.
You saying Lucas got a weak jaw?
I'm not saying Lucas is
And you're
weak.
saying Buck has a strong jaw?
Oh, Buck Rising, strong
Buck got a
jawline.
good jaw.
Gosh, Buck stock just plummeted. Lucas will talk about the blockade we formed with Buck yesterday. We will set an over-under on Buck Rising. Buck Rising. The Buck Rising. So that's the wonderful. We'll set an over-under on when
That
Buck
strong jaw.
arrives to work today. And we'll have Lucas set that line for us. We'll all take an over-under. We'll talk a little Nashville SC with Lucas as well as they host a big one tonight and go on the road for a big one this weekend. That's coming up Here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
It's Ramon Foster for United Structural Systems. And if you have a wet basement or crawl space, guess what? It's time to call United Structural Systems. We've all heard about these guys for a long time and for good reasons. They've served Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they've helped thousands of satisfied residential customers in that time. And I want to tell you about one of those customers, Gloria. This was from earlier this year in January. She said, I just want to say first, hats off to the crew for their hard, excellent work. I'm very pleased with the work that they did. They did not leave any mess to be cleaned. Actually, you could not even tell they had been here. It's good, hard workers that make me love USS, and I tell everybody about their excellent customer service and work, and I thank you for the respect that your guys showed me. They were truly like a breath of fresh air. I don't know if you're like me or Gloria, okay, but it's so hard to find people that do good work inside and outside of your house. It's either the timeline, the mess they make, the inconsistencies. Just listen to what Gloria had to say and myself. You can trust what United Structural Systems is all about. And if you like her and you got some problems with your house foundation repair or just waterproofing issues, get a free estimate from the people I trust. Go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. Or you can call them at 615-492-2226. Again, 615-492-2226.